off in the Advocare Classic kickoff game. This has been a series we've only seen once before in the national championship. Auburn won it 22 to 19. Auburn is the better program overall in tradition, but Oregon has been more consistent through the last decade. This should be a fun matchup. It's Bash here bringing you this preview of the football game between the Oregon Ducks and the Auburn Tigers. SEC plays the Pac 12, and the Pac 12 off to a slow start with an 0-1 record out of conference. Five straight losses for the Pac 12 against the Mountain West as Hawaii beats Arizona 45 to 38. Auburn, on the other hand, is in the same conference as a Florida team who just beat Miami, but it was a close game, closer than expected for some people, including myself. With that being said, I believe that has no reflection on the Auburn Tigers this season. Auburn is going to break out freshman quarterback, but surprised if Nick struggles. Gatewood comes in, but it seems like that is unlikely considering the fact that Bo Nix seemed to run away with the competition over the fall camp. You got a very, very good defensive line. Nick Coe, Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, three of the four best defensive linemen in the SEC. Also, you got Big Cat Bryant behind Marlon Davidson. Tyrone Truesdale is going to start. I'm not as convinced on him, but regardless, you got three elite defensive linemen on this squad. In the secondary, Jarvis Davis is a. I said Jarvis. Javaris Davis is a very good cornerback. Lockdown guy. He's very talented. Um, not as much experience behind him. Devin Barrett, Jordan Peters, some guys to watch for. Christian Tutt is probably going to be that nickel guy, and Noah Igbenoge. Igbeno. I can't. Let me try this again. Noah Igbenogheni. I tried. Either way, he's going to get his first start as well. I believe it's his first start as the cornerback on the other side of Javaris Davis. Out at the safety position, it's a little bit murky as well, but both guys are experienced. I'm not sure if the talent level's there. Daniel Thomas and Jeremiah Denson are back there. Denson is pretty good. Thomas maybe less skilled, but he's got a lot of experience nonetheless. Linebacking core also not really a concern, but something that's not going to be dominant like that D line. Zacoby McLean, a guy that a lot of people have really loved the talent of. He's a young guy going to probably get the starts as a true sophomore. KJ Britt already has experience in the system. Chandler Wooten as well. So that defense going up against Oregon. If there's any team in the country I'd take to contain this defensive front, it would be the Oregon Ducks. On this offensive line, you got Penny Sewell, which is a tremendous left tackle prospect for the 2021 draft, the same one as Trevor Lawrence. And you got four seniors as well who are all going to be very solid draft picks. And I think Dallas Warmack is probably the best prospect out of them all. Shane Lemieux is very, very good. Jake Hansen as well at center is a very solid center holding down the middle. And Calvin Throckmorton is a tremendous right tackle as well. The continuity and the togetherness is also important in these guys. played together a year ago. Penny and Sewell got a lot of playing time a year ago. These guys are going to be tight and they're going to be able to not get on each other, play very good football, and really, I think they got a double team Derek Brown. They got two good guys, as I've mentioned, on the ends in Marlon Davidson and Nick Coe, but this offensive front, I feel like, can handle Coe and Davidson a lot more in individual one-on-one matchups than, or a lot better in individual one-on-one matchups than you might with trying to play on Brown in the middle. Derek Brown is a top tier tackle prospect, defensive tackle prospect. But if we're talking about this Oregon offense, we can't go much farther other than to talk about Justin Herbert. The true senior is coming back again. A lot of people expected him to leave. He did not. Um, Justin Herbert is a tremendous talent. He's looking to right some wrongs from last year. Dropped off a little bit statistically a year ago. Part of the reason why he came back. CJ Verdell as well. Redshirt sophomore. Got a lot of carries last year. Got into that offense. Got very good experience. And now he's ready to step up as well this season. And you also have to talk about this receiving core. Now, I'm hearing that three of the top prospects are going, or top prospects, top receivers are going to be out. You're still going to have Dawood Davis, I believe. You're also going to have guys like Brian Addison, Jalen Redd. I have not seen too much news on that, but I'm hearing they're having a little bit of depth problems on the receiver position. I'm pretty sure Brendan Schooler's one of them that's out. Johnny Johnson might be the other one, but they got Jawan Johnson, a transfer from Penn State coming in. He is a very good possession guy, can go up and get it. Big transfer. I don't know exactly how that took place, but it did nonetheless. That's a huge transfer for this Oregon offense. Passing the ball, I think they need to keep a good balance in this ball game if they're going to go ahead and win it on offense. But defense, I'm telling you, they got some talent and they're going to be preaching a lot of toughness on defense. Number one overall prospect in some books, maybe number two behind Nolan Smith, Georgia. Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be breaking out as a starter in this defense. Number five, watch for him. You also got a 3-4 set where you're going to be having guys like Lamar Winston, a guy who's a senior in the system, has been developed, brought up, taught by Mario Cristobal for a couple years now. Troy Dye, another guy who's going to be a playmaker at the jack position is what they call it. Bryson Young, Isaac Slade Mataltia has a lot of talent, a lot of upside for him. It'll be very fun to watch. A little bit weaker in the secondary. Thomas Graham, and he's going to have to step up this year, really hold down that back end if they're going to have any success. And Diomadore Lenore is on the other side as well. Nick Pickett and Javon Holland are your two safeties. A little bit more experience as Pickett, but Holland is a good talent, is what I'm hearing, and it's going to be fun to see Javon Holland go at that safety position today. Now, if you look at this Auburn offense, the offensive line has gotten better, but they're not going to be great. They're just experienced, and that's a key to it. They do have Jack Driscoll, a redshirt senior. He's a transfer. Um, so Jack Driscoll's going to be holding down that right side. Of course, he comes in from he was UMass's best offensive lineman as a graduate. He's able to come over. A little bit of questions, but the continuity in that playing together, the chemistry with each other, as I've talked about being important, is definitely there. That's probably why they're going to make a jump and definitely make it a little bit better for Bo Nix. And Bo Nix can run around, and he's got Cam Martin, Sean Shivers, and the starter Jatarvius Whitlow, Bowie Whitlow, playing behind him at tailback. They're going to be able to move those guys around. I think the most underrated aspect or underrated core of this team is their wide receiver core. Sheldrick Jackson and Seth Williams are two talented sophomores. Matthew Hill as well in the same recruiting class as a redshirt freshman. And Anthony Schwartz can take off and run. They got a lot of speed at the receiver position. That's not even bringing up guys who have really developed like Will Hastings and Eli Stove. These guys can break out this year, and if they're going to have success, it's because they're making plays for Bo Nix down the field. And that 2-1-2 punch between Nix and Whitlow is going to be pretty good in the backfield. Their offense is definitely going to be better than it was last year's. The defense will probably be just as good. The real question is, though, can they get pressure on Justin Herbert? And you have to go back to that offensive line game and just talk about the talent that's there. The thing that I'm not sold on is their best talent, their most talented offensive lineman, Penny Sewell, is not going to be going up against Derek Brown, which is, I mean, he's not the size to do it. He plays a different position, of course, but I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to hold up Derek Brown in the middle. Of course, you need someone to block Marlon Davidson or Nick Coe, and that would be Penny Sewell. So, I would take that as eliminating one problem at a time for Oregon. I expect Jake Hansen to be locking down on Derek Brown and Dallas Womack to help him out as well. Shane Lemieux's probably going to get to the either. I mean, it depends on which one's pulling. If you're running, if you're passing in pass protection, though, Shane Lemieux is probably going to be an extra guy. I think it would be Womack and Hansen doubling Brown. I don't know what their blocking scheme is going to be in terms of game planning against Derek Brown, but that's the most crucial part of this game. You could also have Lemieux help out with Sewell, or Lemieux block with Hansen, and then Womack block with Throckmorton on that right side because, I mean, they might be weak side or they mix up Marlon Davidson and Nick Coe a lot. I would prefer Nick Coe be on the single team, but either one can work if you can game plan to have a double team with on that right side with Calvin Throckmorton and Dallas Womack. And then if you get Shane Lemieux and Jake Hansen to go ahead and block, maybe you need single just to make sure that Tyrone Truesdell is going to be accounted for. And Dallas Womack can take care of Truesdell. I'm not really worried about that. Womack is maybe the best upperclassman on this Oregon offensive line. So I think that Oregon can go many different directions on that offensive line to game plan for that D line. Justin Herbert's going to have time to throw. His receivers are questionable in terms of their depth coming into this game. I do like Brian Addison. I do like Juwan Johnson. And I think CJ Verdell brings a lot to this offense out of the backfield as well. I think the offense is going to get theirs, and then I think they're also going to get enough of a pass rush here against Bo Nix in his first game. He's going to try to run around a little more than he should. Probably a freshman mistake or two. It's not the same thing as Miami that I was talking about. I said Jaron Williams was going to make a couple mistakes in terms of throwing picks. 2 or 3 picks is what I said. Didn't account for and completely ignored that Manny Diaz chose Jaron Williams just so they had a guy that would throw the least amount of interceptions, so it kind of makes sense. Bo Nix wasn't chosen for that reason. Bo Nix has better arm talent. Bo Nix runs around as well, so he works in the system for Gus Malzahn. If Joey Gatewood was if Joey Gatewood was the only one that could run around and throw the ball downfield, because of course you also got a third stringer Malik Willis who can run around but doesn't have the arm talent of either one, Joey Gatewood would start over Jarrett Stidham if they were in a battle. Jarrett Stidham that started after the year after he got eligible after transferring from Baylor. So yeah, there's going to be some mistakes, maybe one or two turnovers on the side of Bo Nix. Bad reads are going to happen. Kayvon Thibodeau's also a freshman though, and you got to wonder if Kayvon Thibodeau, not necessarily that he's not talented enough to get around the offensive lineman, but you got to wonder if he's going to be able to stay disciplined enough to stay at home when he needs to be, specifically against the option. I figure they're going to run a lot at a less experienced Thibodeau instead of a Fayali. Fayaliu. These dang Polynesian names are screwing me over. So a more experienced guy nonetheless. They might run to a little bit less in the option when they have to read Kayvon Thibodeau. I think it's a good thing though how they have it set up, because you're going to have outside linebackers a lot of times if they're going to be lined up to the outside of Kayvon Thibodeau. Those guys are what Bo Nix is going to be reading on the option, and I think that's going to contain the option enough. So my prediction, based off of everything we said, Justin Herbert's going to have a decent day, nothing special. He's going up against a very good front, a secondary that is going to be good, not great. A linebacking core, though, that he could possibly pick apart. On the other side of the ball, you got Bo Nix starting his first game against a talented Kayvon Thibodeau, a 3-4 scheme where it's a little bit harder to do read options and RPOs against. I'm going to go Oregon 27, Auburn 21. I think this is going to be another classic. I think it's going to be a good game. I think this time it's going to be Bo Nix with the ball to end it, and he won't be able to lead Auburn down the field. I don't think Herbert's going to get that game winning sweet touchdown drive that we all can imagine happening. Just not going to happen. If they're down in the fourth quarter, odds are they're not going to score, because most possessions I highly doubt Oregon's going to get a touchdown. If they can be within a field goal though, or I can see Oregon pulling it out. If it goes into overtime, I could see Oregon with the experience also pulling it out. The scenarios where I see Auburn pulling it out is if they can go ahead and get the proper reads on the RPO. If they can do that, they're going to put up 30 points in this ball game, and I don't expect Oregon to get over that 30 mark on that defense whatsoever. They could. I could be wrong. I said that Miami wasn't going to hit 20. Well, they hit exactly 20, so I ate my own words there, even though it wasn't by much. But nonetheless, I could see a scenario where Oregon falls in this game and Auburn wins it for sure. But I'm going to take Oregon in this game by 6 points. The spread is favoring Auburn, I believe, by 3.5. So that's my pick right now. It's probably not going to change. I think I've made up my mind. I've been studying this game for a while. I studied a little bit before getting on here, and I'll try to do at least one more preview before the end of the week. There aren't that many marquee games in week one, which is kind of disappointing. Oklahoma Houston is maybe the next game that I might talk about. But without further ado, guys, I'll see you later. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.